AI made us watch
Howard the Duck.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to AI Made Us Watch. I'm Eli.
I'm Diana.
And we are here today with our good friend Julian, who was sucked across the cosmos by the AI and brought to our world to watch Howard the Duck with us.
Very important assignment.
Yeah.
What a hostile, unfriendly world it was.
I don't know where to start because I don't know what to say.
I can't even like or dislike Howard the Duck. Can you even boil it down to something like that? I feel like you just experience and witness Howard the Duck, and you can't just love or hate. There's just something else going on.
Yeah. It is beyond such simple human reactions as like or
I need
dislike.
a duck reaction for this.
One of the things we learned in film school is don't focus on your own personal feelings towards a film. Look at it as an individual piece of art.
Right
what
on.
worked, what didn't work.
What worked
We are
for
all
you?
so tiny in comparison to Howard the Duck. You know, how dare we gaze up at it and expect to pass our judgment and values.
If you had asked me at any point in my life before today to somehow describe what the movie Howard Duck was about, I don't think I would have come within 5% accuracy. I had no idea what we were in for.
No.
Let's start in the duck world because the movie opens in a universe of ducks
That's
Yes.
where ducks have evolved instead of apes.
Yes, including to the extent that the ducks that we see have full breasts.
Duck titties were shown within
Straight
5
up.
minutes.
Within 5 minutes of the movie.
Still
Duck
rolling
titties.
like credits. Like, there are people's
Like-
names up. It's like cinematographer, blah, blah, blah. Here's some tits.
Full like headlight nipples, everything.
Yeah.
She's in the
She's in the
bathtub,
bathtub.
unbothered, by the
Yeah.
way.
Oh, yeah. Howard the Duck is getting plunged through the wall, sucked into the other dimension, right through her bathroom, and she's just scrubbing
Not
like,
phased.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
She's like singing or something, and she sees it. She's like, huh.
Anyway,
It's
another
like,
day
okay.
in
And
Just another day in
Duckburg,
Duck World.
Duck.
Marshington, D.C.
What's
Howard the Duck is from Marshington, D.C. It's what his driver's license
Really?
says.
Marshington?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes, Marshington, D.C.
That's what
So-
we're in his apartment with this very classic opening where he's home from work, but we don't see that he's a duck yet.
Yeah.
But it's like all these posters of what was
Hot
it?
movies from the
hot
day.
movies, but it's all
They're all duck
human movies, but they're ducks now.
Yeah.
Of course.
Breeders of the Stork, of the
Breeders
Lost
of the Lost
Stork.
Breeders of the Lost Stork was the best.
which is
Breeders of the Lost Stork.
breeders. It's like, okay, I'm coming out with my list of words associated with ducks. The first one that I've come up with is the term breeders.
Breeders.
Because here's the thing about ducks. They breed.
They do
They
be
do
having
be breeding.
babies.
If there's two things I know about ducks, they breed and then they breastfeed those children.
Full.
Apparently.
And I mean, they do come out of an egg.
Do they come out of
Do
an
they?
egg? Do we know that
No,
they...
we do because Howard was
Oh, he
angry about the
said
fried eggs,
about
and he
the
said it
fried
reminds
eggs.
me of my birthday.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
though, and also, as we see Howard getting sucked across the cosmos into our world, we see that their Earth is egg-shaped.
Yeah.
As if our Earth is like fetus-shaped.
Well, it is like ovum shaped.
All right, that's fair.
If you think about it,
That's fair.
like
more of an ovum.
it's kind of like a haunting tale of intelligent design to know that planets are based over like
Around
the egg
them.
of the dominant species
Oh,
of the
Interesting.
wow.
planet.
That
Yeah.
is fascinating.
The rest of the duck anatomy were unclear. Well, that's not
There
quite
was-
true because we know that Howard the Duck has a
He has a
condom.
condom.
That
An
looks a
un-
lot like a human condom.
An
Unwrapped.
unwrapped
Unwrapped
condom in his
condom.
wallet.
Yeah.
So this is based on a Marvel comic,
Mm-hmm.
apparently. And this movie in 1986 was playing with the idea of the multiverse long before
That's true.
anything.
Yeah.
A lot of, I think, we mentioned this, but I think a lot of movies owe quite a bit to
Duck.
Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
Maybe every movie that came out post 1986 owes something to Howard the Duck.
He ends up in Cleveland.
And it's like a really
What a
gritty.
place to end up.
Real gritty
it's
Cleveland.
so gritty.
Gritty Cleveland. There's like a punk scene.
Uh-huh.
Like a really robust
Wait, they're
punk
like
scene.
playing.
Seems to be
her
only a
band is
punk
playing,
scene.
Yeah.
Her band is playing some club, and they have to play behind a full chain
Yeah.
link fence
Yeah.
because of whatever's going on with
Gets
this
crazy in there.
clientele.
Throw bottles.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Cleveland 1986 is a lot like, it's portrayed like Gotham. Typically
Yes.
portrayed
Yeah.
in film.
Super violent.
So,
And also everyone is dumb as shit. They're
Yeah.
so clueless.
Also, completely unfazed
Oh.
by this walking, talking duck.
I mean,
Most
yes
people
and no.
assume
Some
it's
of
a
them
child
scream.
in a costume. There's the occasional scream.
It's true.
There's that one guy that goes, "That's a duck." So he got it. He got it.
got it right away.
He was like riding on the bus.
That was a man who believes his own eyes.
Has anybody been to Cleveland?
Not in the city, no.
No.
Viewers, if you've ever experienced Cleveland, please call in.
Yeah.
Let
Let
us
us
know
know how much it compares to the portrayal in
in.
Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
We are standing by to take your
Standing by the
calls.
Stand by taking calls.
Stand by the phones.
When Howard first arrives in Cleveland,
Yeah.
it's chaos. He
Oh, yeah.
lands in like a gutter somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and these street punks start roughing him up.
That's right.
Then he gets tossed onto the bike of a woman's biker gang called Satan's Sluts.
Yeah.
Satan's
Rated
slut.
PG, this film. Which, by the way, shows full frontal
Full
breasts,
frontal duck boobies.
but made a PG rating.
Right. And
Like,
strongly implied that we have interspecies sexual relations.
Oh, very heavily
but
implied.
confirmed
But
Satan
PG.
sluts right in
Satan
the
sluts.
opening. And they were like, yeah, that's fine, PG. Kids can go on their own and see this.
So Leah Thompson's character, whose name I just couldn't focus enough on to get. What was her name?
Beverly?
Beverly.
Beverly.
Yes.
Beverly.
It was Beverly.
Yeah. She finishes her concert and then gets attacked in the street by
Yeah,
a couple
these
of
guys,
punks.
Yeah, which I guess is why they're behind the chain link fence.
Right.
Right.
It's unsafe.
Perhaps because they were like, yeah, great job, baby girl. Like, let's get together. And it was really
Mhm.
disgusting.
Howard the Duck does happen upon them and decides he's got to do something about it.
He knows quack foo.
Yeah.
Those quack foo.
I feel uncomfortable saying it. I don't know if it should be called quack foo at this time. But,
Fair.
dear viewers, please understand it was a different time. It was Reagan's America.
It was.
And
Very-
these things were
very
not
much
handled
so.
with sensitivity.
No.
It was very much Reagan's America because, first of all, they were trying to convince me that credit cards and credit scores was an evolutionary inevitability.
Right.
They're
Yes.
like, it's just that in Howard's world, he's explaining Howard's world's evolution, and it's just the same exactly as human evolution, but with
Right.
ducks instead of people.
Mm-hmm. She takes Howard back to her apartment with, again, pretty unfazed
Mhm.
about this duck.
At this point, she's making bedroom eyes at him already.
Already?
Very
she's-
quickly.
But yeah.
And he
I
falls
guess
asleep.
dating is so bad in this horrible, violent Cleveland that she's like,
finally.
this duck was a real gentleman. And my standards are low right now.
So he falls asleep and she goes through his wallet. We talked
Yeah.
about the condom.
Mm-hmm.
She finds an identical to ours $1 bill, except
Yeah.
George Washington has a beak. And I guess it was George Marshington because he lives in
He lives in
Washington,
Marshington.
D.C.
They don't, it's not something that's explicitly spelled out, but you can extrapolate that
As
these
we
things
said,
are true.
Did not spend enough time in Duck World. Should
Not
go
enough.
back.
I would love a sequel. Yeah, like send her there.
A human in Duck World or something.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, so then she takes him to Tim Robbins, whose name is Phil or Philzy.
Philzy.
Yeah, he's a
And he-
scientist friend of hers.
Like a
she
lab
says.
assistant type.
Mhm.
And
At a
he's
natural
scientist.
history museum.
But somehow he's going to be able to figure out why Howard was sucked through space and
She
time
says-
and dimensions.
She says he's the only scientist I know.
I mean, I'm like running through the Rolodex of people in my head, and I'm like, okay,
I don't know
I
any-
stumble upon Howard the Duck. Who am I going
Who
to?
do I-
I have no
idea.
clue.
Honestly,
It's a
I would
great
probably
point.
call you.
Me, okay, yeah.
Okay,
Just-
okay. I don't know that I would go straight for a scientist. I'd be like, it's a talking duck, so there must be some magic-y shit
That's
going
true.
on. If I was informed that, yes, it's definitely an alien situation, great question. I
I'm
have no
done.
idea.
Good
No
luck,
idea.
Doug.
I don't even know what NASA's phone number is. Like,
Right?
I'm fucked. Viewers, if you're
I think
tuning
it's
in
just
and you work for
555
NASA, let us know how to
Yeah.
get in touch.
Call in.
You could tell us. Well, anyway, Tim Robbins really screws up.
Tim Robbins is 100% unhinged
Mhm.
in this performance.
Amazingly unhinged.
This is a very young Tim
Surprisingly
Robbins.
good duck impression as well.
He does try to speak like Donald Duck to Howard the Duck. Doesn't go well.
It doesn't.
Howard the Duck, very sensitive.
Extremely prideful.
He's out of his time and place. He's in another world, and these people, generally, people are treating him like an animal.
That we, of course, eat and hunt and stuff. So
Uh-huh.
he's
Yeah.
extremely offended by that. He's a
Mhm.
little hostile for not being. You're kind of a guest here. Maybe don't be so loud.
I have a lot of compassion and understanding for Howard and his
Mhm.
experience. I see a lot of parallels with the gay experience and Howard's experience, and I won't elaborate any further on that. So let's just move
Good
on.
luck
Yeah.
parsing that out for
I
yourself.
really kind of wanted to spend the rest of the episode
I
on
know.
that.
I
But
felt
If
like
you're-
that was a really interesting.
Do we have time? A
Right.
full queer theory reading of Howard the Duck? I mean, what more do you need to know?
So anyway, Tim Robbins ends up really offending Howard the Duck, right?
Yeah.
He's like, okay, fine, Beverly, I'm going off on my own.
I'm leaving.
Then immediately is like, I need to worry about food and shelter, which were the two
Mhm.
things that Beverly was providing to him utterly free. So I was like, that's not very practical.
She sort of apologizes, or at least tries to tell him, like,
Mhm.
you're trapped in a world that you didn't make.
Yeah.
And I thought that was
That's a good
a nice
Yeah.
little poignant moment.
Mhm.
That's tough for anybody.
Tough.
Yeah, she's
When you have
talking
to-
more about herself.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and in
Yeah.
a lot of ways, I see a lot of the Leah Thompson experience mirrored in Howard the Duck's story, and I will not elaborate on that any further.
Again, we're in Reagan's America, so it's also very anti-government support.
Right.
He goes to the Ohio Bureau of Employment to find a job
Yes.
so that he can feed himself and find some shelter. And of course, they're like, y'all can't be on unemployment. I see you in that duck suit trying to not go to work. Well, he doesn't, Mooch. He instead,
No,
government
place him.
She
finds
says,
him.
I'm putting you in I put all my clients in a job.
Yeah.
She finds him gainful employment at a jacuzzi brothel. I was
Mhm.
getting
Like a sex spa, yeah.
called Lava
like a-
of Love.
Towel boy.
Yeah.
He had to, because he was their water expert. They were hiring a water expert
Mhm.
so he could fix the jets of the jacuzzis while people were fucking in them.
In
which
them.
is so gross. I was like, this place is unsanitary.
Rated PG.
Rated
PG.
PG.
Rated PG.
Rated PG. But people were like having sex in the hallways.
The implication that in the 80s in Cleveland, like brothels were so legal and normalized that
Very
you could put a
regulated.
job posting in with the Department of Labor and have them like place it on their job board for prospective employees is honestly pretty progressive.
I would say
it's,
so.
I mean, it's a different
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a different
Reagan
world.
wouldn't have it.
Reagan would
No.
never.
No.
Reagan would never. So are we in Reagan's America? Discuss.
I don't know what Ohio politics were like in the 80s. You know, I know a lot of things kind of flip-flopped since the 80s. You know, conservative states became liberal ones,
True.
liberal
True,
states
true,
became
true, true.
conservative.
Very
If you're an
true.
expert in Ohio's sex work legislature, let
Please
us
call
know.
in.
Let
I'll
us
tell you,
know.
who
Please call in.
definitely would not have had any of this was Nancy. Nancy Reagan would
Oh,
have had
Nancy
a real
would have
problem.
hated.
She would have shut that brothel
She had a
down.
whole
Well,
protest
she
against
would have
Howard the Duck.
personally shut it down if you know what I
She
mean.
would-
So-
That's right. She'd be like, nobody takes my crown.
Also, we find out when he gets thrown into the jacuzzi to fix it while there's two people fucking in it, that Howard the Duck cannot swim.
That's right.
He doesn't like swimming and he doesn't like flying.
Yeah, we find that out later.
Yeah.
More on that later.
More on
Yeah.
that later.
You know, there's a moment in this film where we kind of glossed over this. Tim Robbins discovers Howard the Duck.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And he's looking Howard the Duck over and he stares at him and he goes, man's greatest fantasy
Right. Man's greatest.
Man's greatest fantasy.
is like an anthropomorphic, hyper realistic duck. And I felt like this was saying more about the character of
100.
was it Dixie? What's his
Philzy.
name?
Philzy.
Dixie.
Dixie.
I love it. I love Dixie.
Philzy is a weirdo. Philzy is a
Philzy's
freak.
really weird. It's a crazy performance.
Yeah.
Mhm. But somehow he's this hot rocker girlfriend, and he's
Mhm.
like, "No sex, I'm working." And I was like, "Is she that thirsty
Yeah,
to
he's like-
jump your bones, Tim Robbins?"
He's dating
yeah.
Holly Robinson Pete. You might know Hanging with Mr. Cooper, like a
Oh.
big like 90s sitcom star, as well as a lot of other like 90s movies.
Man.
But an absolute like smoke show, 10 out of 10. One of the most like cool, hot actresses working in this time. Tim Robbins pulling her. But to
Tim
be
Robbins
fair,
pulling her.
it's a man that was with Susan Sarandon for decades.
That's true.
That's true.
That's true. She
So-
was
Tim
a yeah.
Robbins.
She was
There was a
yeah.
time when she saw Howard the Duck and she went, that's the one.
That's the one.
I
That's
mean,
the one.
That guy.
Everyone. This is I don't know what Tim Robbins did before Howard the Duck. This felt like a first part kind of.
Huh.
But America saw Howard the Duck and said, "This guy."
Look, he gave it everything. He put his foot.
He
in
really
that part.
did. He
Mhm.
really
He
did.
never let up, and I was impressed.
When he wasn't on screen, I wanted him back on screen.
He had a,
Until he
gave
was
you
on
a
screen
lot.
for a long time. And,
Then you were like,
"It's kind of exhausted.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
could take it easy.
yeah.
Let's go back to Leah Thompson for a moment.
Let's get some mild reactions.
I mean, maybe we're getting ahead of myself, but if we're talking about like this film and its legacy, I think it's critical to talk about it as part of George Lucas's legacy. This
Right.
film came out in 1986, so he would have just finished the Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah.
This is maybe the first thing he's produced. since then.
I think so, outside of Indiana Jones's, but
Oh, sure. I've heard of them.
Heard of them.
Yeah, of course, Indiana Jones, Breeders of the Lost Stork.
Breeders
of the Lost
Stork.
classic.
That the only reason I got permission for that joke is because George was already there.
Uh-huh.
I was kind of like the effects, the special effects, the amount of pyrotechnics, the amount of things that blew up in this fucking movie, the electricity powers and everything. It needed George Lucas to pay for this shit.
Can we take a minute to talk about Howard the Duck and the puppeteering?
Unbelievable.
How many puppeteers were there? Was it again?
It was at
8?
least 8 or 10. Yeah, it was a lot of people in the credits for him.
Looked incredible.
I kept
His
thinking
eyes?
of Audrey too in Little Shop of Horrors, which still is, I think, is the best puppet of all time. But
It's a great puppet.
the detail and the movement of his mouth and his eyes, the
His
expressions.
eyebrows.
Oh my
He's
God.
doing so much.
Yeah.
He's like holding his head a lot and stuff, and
Yeah.
I don't know. He's shaking his ass. He's wagging that tail.
Mm-hmm. And what an ass.
And what an ass!
Oh, man. Listen, I
Wow.
don't know what their genitals are like, but other than that, otherwise, the duck posture, it's still that like big old
It's working
pointy
out.
booty, like really just swinging that thing around.
They swanging. They got that cake.
Duck cake.
Ducks got that cake. They got due process in the duck world, right? They got traffic laws.
Uh-huh.
Same traffic laws in the duck world. They had the exact same dollar bill in the duck world,
We learn a lot
but
from
no
Howard.
pizza.
Yeah.
He was
doesn't know
unaware of
pizza.
pizza.
But he references
everyone.
salami.
They just haven't figured out that you can put cured meat on pizza yet, I
Right.
guess. They're getting there.
If he got to go back to Duck World, he would have taken a lot of innovations with him.
There's a lab where Jeffrey Jones works. And
Dr. Jennings.
this is, yes, as Dr. Jennings, and this is where they built this laser that brought Howard across the universe. And they go there
They want to reverse the
to
process.
reverse it. They find that the lab is in chaos. Something has happened. There's been a
That's right.
terrible, flawed experiment that has brought something down from the heavens. And we find out it is inside Dr. Jennings.
That's right. The guy comes running out and he's like, "We should never have tampered with time and space," or
Right.
something like that.
They're kind of escape. Oh, the cops show up
Yeah.
to arrest everyone at this science
Because
lab.
they burned it down. I mean,
There's
essentially.
explosions and things.
Explosions.
So the three of them, Howard the Duck, Leah Thompson, and Jeffrey Jones, all go to this diner. The diner is called, and this is one of the reasons I think this movie is highly underrated in its comedy, among other things. The diner is called Joe Roma's Cajun Sushi.
That's it. Yes.
I was amazed by this. Like,
I thought
Joe
it was called
Roma's is a
sushi.
pizza place.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's Cajun Sushi.
But the special was fried eggs and
The
bacon.
special was fried eggs and bacon. Incredible. And it looked like a 1950s
It
diner.
did.
Yeah.
And they had
my
beer.
favorite restaurant in the world.
And they
And they
serve
serve
beer.
beer. My favorite restaurant in the world.
I was like, this insane restaurant.
I want a
Insane
cinematic
restaurant.
universe entirely around this diner.
But I was angry at the characters in this diner because Jeffrey Jones is trying to explain to them very eloquently in the car that he's definitely got an evil inside of him that's transforming him.
Yes.
And something came down and they're all like, "I guess you need to use the bathroom." It's like, you have a talking duck. Like, y'all need to open your minds a little bit. That's what I mean by Cleveland is clueless. Like, they stupid.
That's the movie universe of Cleveland. We don't want to
Oh, yeah,
insult
sorry.
our
No.
Sorry,
many
Cleveland.
listeners from the city of Cleveland.
I believe in you, Cleveland, and your public education system.
So Jeffrey Jones gets this evil inside of him.
Yes.
They go to this diner, and the film, which up until this point has been about Howard the Duck kind of helping Leah Thompson manage her band,
Yes.
film takes a hard shift into like Lovecraftian cosmic body horror.
Yes.
As Jeffrey Jones finds himself filled with an evil that is hollowing him out from the inside out, taking control of him, and we find out
His face starts melting off.
that this is a creature called a Dark Overlord, which has come to us from the nexus of Sominus.
Okay.
By accident.
And he is
They
unlike
had
Howard
been
the Duck.
banished there or whatever.
Yeah.
Because unlike Howard the Duck, who is standard extraterrestrial as we would understand it, they are not that. Dark Overlords are demons that have been banished to like a corner of space.
Right.
And now, I mean, through absolute sheer happenstance, the eternal expanse of the universe, sorry, we targeted the nexus of Somnius.
Accidentally hit the laser.
And
Right there. And
a
brought down
real life demon has come.
this evil into Dr. Jennings.
So he starts slowly morphing and more demonic. His face gets bonier and his eyes start glowing. He starts glowing.
Yeah.
Another diner customer sexually harasses Leah Thompson's character.
Oh, yes, all the time. She can't walk out the door.
She cannot.
It's Reagan's
Cleveland,
America.
again, a very rapey, horrible place in Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
Despite the prevalence of brothels.
So many brothels
Go
where
to
you
the
could
brothel.
just go let off some steam, literally, because it's in a jacuzzi place. No, but they start getting into a fight because, you know, Howard knows the quack foo. He's a very chivalrous duck. So he's fighting these horrible guys. And the waitress at the diner is like, oh, there's fights in here all the time.
1950s Cajun sushi diner owned by an Italian guy. Lots of fights.
And Dr. Jennings is telling Leah and Howard the Duck constantly, there's this evil that, unlike anything, I'm going to take over the world. And because Howard is almost cooked, they finally catch Howard and they have a
The
whole...
diner patrons.
The diner patrons
and
catch
staff.
Howard. Yes, and one
The
of them
chef
is like
is there.
a sushi chef. So I guess there is actually sushi on the menu. They decide to put the entire world in danger and get Dr. Jennings involved and more powerful so that they can save Howard.
First of all, I was just fascinated that this mob of diner patrons and employees decided that this conscious, living, English-speaking, intelligent duck person who happened to defend a woman from being raped they were going to string him up and chop his head off and eat him. That was immediately where they went.
They were also going to eat his clothes. They put like butter
Yeah.
on his jacket and they were like putting like celery in his mouth.
No sense of wonder for the people of
No.
Cleveland. They were just like immediately like, I have one conception of duck. I will eat it. I can
Kill it,
recognize
eat it.
that you walk upright and you're currently engaged in like sparring rhetorical combat with me.
That's right.
And therefore I'll just eat you.
And you just showed off of amazing physical capabilities.
Right.
And you're wearing suspenders.
But imagine
And a
the
tie?
amount of emotion in those eyes.
Yeah.
That alone.
No.
I don't want to say that George Lucas is plagiarizing himself. But Jeffrey Jones goes full Emperor Palpatine
Yes.
at
Sure
this
does.
diner.
Yes.
He does.
Glowing red outline, electricity shooting from his fingers.
Yep.
It took me a moment to be like, this is like an homage to something. And it was literally just an homage to Star Wars, which doesn't count.
2 years earlier.
Right.
Yeah.
We're like, recycle it.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
The waitress tells them hostility is like a psychic boomerang. I just loved this
Remember that.
waitress.
That
What
is a good...
words to live by.
That is a good... Also, Howard was really rude to her, like, right from the get. He
He
walks
was.
into
He
that diner
snapped.
and, like, snaps and whistles
Yeah.
at her.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, honey, okay, here she is. I was like, you just sat down,
We don't know how
sir.
things work in the Duckverse.
Yeah.
More politely, I'm sure.
Things are fast when when the kitchen's not slowed down by pizza production. Things just move a lot quicker. So
And, like, in the duck world, we serve one thing at restaurants
Right.
instead of Cajun sushi, etc.
After Jeffrey Jones, Emperor Palpatine force lightnings all of the diner patrons and saves Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck says, it's not nice to fool with a dark overlord.
But then, of course, the Dark Overlord is not on their side.
No.
It's not Dr. Jennings, their friend, which they
No.
can't seem to fucking get through their thick-ass skull. It's a Dark Overlord, a demon, okay? From Sonus of Nexium or whatever. What was it called?
the Nexus
The
of
Nexus of
Sominus.
Sominus.
No, Sonus of Nexium.
Whatever. you
The quantum
know what
of
I meant,
solace.
all
Quantum
right?
of Solace.
The Quantum of Solace.
Quantum of Solace of Nexium.
And I have one more waitress quote.
Oh, yeah. that's
Because
right.
they show the
waitress.
news is there amidst the chaos, and they're interviewing the waitress, and she is talking about how she wasn't sure what was going on at first when she met this duck. She thought it was a kid in a duck costume.
right.
And she says, then it hit me. Halloween's not till next month.
The people of Cleveland are a mess. Like, you
They're
just
amazing.
ever walking down the street and just like force yourself to think it's Halloween because of something you see?
No, I
Have
mean...
even the slightest sense of time, lady. Come
I'm
on.
upset for y'all. I'm upset. So, of course, Philzy and Howard the Duck want to save Beverly,
Who's been taken by
who's been taken by Dr. Jennings.
Dr. Jennings.
And
Demon
we
Dr.
find-
Jennings.
Demon Dr. Jennings, which we find out is because he needs a human body to channel another demon, another one of his friends,
Right.
Cosmic Overlord. He wants to go get more of his friends to take over the
They
world.
can't survive on Earth without a
Without a
human body,
human
apparently.
body.
He knows this.
Well,
Do
He's
we
been
know?
around for like 48 hours now at this point. He knows what's going
knows
on.
everything.
Did they mention who banished them to the Quantum of Solace?
You're
If he
asking too
did,
much.
I don't-
Okay, all right. No, that's fine. That's
If he
deeper
did, I
lore.
forgot.
That's for the
Yeah.
comics.
There's
Yeah.
take your pick of
Take your-
cosmic
Yeah.
villains of
Yeah.
the Marvel
Get to the
universe.
graphic novels for that information. So Philzy and the duck have to get out of there somehow. They find this rickety ass weird little plane.
It's just a,
And
like a
it's more
bicycle
it's kind
plane.
of like a bicycle. It's like a hang glider with a
Yeah.
with a motor on it, sort
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
And it's real janky, but Tim Robbins is like, I'll get it. I know how to build planes. I guess scientists know how to do that. So he's like, I'll get this together in no time. Howard the Duck says, we have a saying on our planet that if God wanted us to fly, he wouldn't have taken away our wings. And it, like,
sent
Yes.
us.
speaking of a different film, now we have
Mhm.
fucking religious, like, existentialism
Yeah.
to contemplate.
It cracked the film wide open for me at this moment. It's like Adam and Eve eating the apple. Like something like
What happened?
what
in
happened
their duck
here?
lore that they were no longer allowed to fly. They were grounded.
Mm-hmm.
And then it made me wonder if all ducks don't swim or if it's just Howard's like a personal preference that he doesn't like to swim.
Mm.
But do any ducks, like, are they really denying their whole duckness on Duck World and they neither swim nor fly?
I mean, we don't swing from trees anymore, really.
It's true.
You
We
know?
still swim and
Yeah, but that's
other
our own
stuff that apes
hubris.
do. We
That's-
still
yeah,
throw
that's
we
hubris.
still throw poop and stuff.
We need to talk about that one.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
that
speak for
was
myself.
something
I'll
to
speak for
unpack.
myself on that one.
At some point in the duck lore, God took away their ability to
Yes.
fly.
And not only that, like the way that the expression is phrased, if God wanted us to fly, he wouldn't have taken away our wings. And he says, oh, that's an expression that we have. And it's like, when does it come up? Like,
Yeah.
how often has the subject of airplanes been proposed? And there's some preacher in their duck world that's like, God doesn't want you to do that, you know? Like, if God made us from ducks, why are there still ducks?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And they still have a one God monotheism,
Oh yeah, are there evolution
there-
deniers in Howard's world?
right? Or do
I mean,
they have
there
any
must be.
polytheistic?
It's got to be, right?
Now it's interesting too that when he first arrives, he asks, "Where am I?" And Leah Thompson says, "Cleveland," and he's
Mhm.
like, "What a name for a planet!"
I don't know why Cleveland is a weird name for a planet. Like
Mm.
every name is a weird name for a planet.
Yeah,
they're all made
That's
up.
True. I mean, very good point. Earth. That is a weird
Yeah,
name.
Earth. Oh, well, that makes more
Oh,
sense.
now-
Sure,
Okay,
yeah.
now that's a logical planet name.
You named it after the dirt. Great.
Yeah.
Well, just wondering about how much they lean into their duckness in his world, it made the line that Tim Robbins says, for some reason, they let Howard drive the plane,
Sure.
even though he said he didn't
He doesn't.
want to
He's
fly.
Right, it's like
anti-flying.
religiously opposed to it.
religiously opposed to flying. I was like, weird, crazy situation. But he says, trust your birdness. And I was like, maybe Howard should trust his birdness.
So this is that now. I arrive in the duck world,
Mhm.
and we for some reason have to escape the duck police
Mm-hmm.
via swinging
That's right. From
vine to vine
Yeah.
across the trees.
And
And
they
the
say-
duck is going to say to me, "You trust your apeness."
Well, I will say they would understand it because there's a moment in this film where
Inexplicable.
Howard the Duck does a Tarzan impersonation, which is one of the most confusing parts. So they do have like a Tarzan in their world, but he's still like living amongst the apes.
Yes.
So I guess it's like a duck version of Tarzan, but the ape part is he's
Is
not living
still
amongst
real?
primitive ducks.
No,
He's
it's
living
it
among
is apes.
because he does the beating of the chest.
We also,
Right.
we
Yeah.
also wonder because it's duck hunting season in Ohio. We
Mhm.
wondered if there was ape hunting in Duck World.
Oh
Of
yeah,
course.
if they have ape
Of
season.
course.
Washington,
Of
D.C.
course.
issues a number of ape hunting licenses every year.
You gotta get rid
Gotta
of this.
Keep them, if you don't, they'll just overrun the
Overrun.
city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
true.
and ape is a delicacy in most duck restaurants.
Mm,
Yeah.
You know what are you
So,
gonna do?
mhm.
But we keep
Orange
breeding
ape.
more apes to reintroduce, so it's fine. Like it's not an endangered
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah, not if you look at things on a cosmic scale. The apes are doing great in Duck
Okay.
World, so much so that they have to have hunters keep their population in check.
Yeah, yeah.
He also knows about American football.
Oh yeah, because he says touchdown.
Touchdown.
He says touchdown. He also says
Tora, Tora, Tora.
while he's flying the plane, he says Tora, Tora, Tora. Now we know that they have parallel. They created the exact same movies in their world. just with duck puns in the titles.
Yeah.
That's right.
But Tora, 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 they
Tora,
kept that
Tora.
one the same.
What'd you say? It should have been
Storka, Storka, Storka.
Also, he waterboards Filzy. Pretty uncool.
Yeah, not great.
Context.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's flying the plane.
Perfect. No more
That's
context
it.
needed.
Yep. There's just a random torture scene in the middle of the
I will
movie.
not elaborate further.
Howard the Duck waterboards Filzy.
No, he's flying the plane. Filzy has to fix something, and then he kind of like dangles off of the plane, and Howard's a bad driver, not a good flyer, doesn't trust his birdness, skimming the water.
Yeah. The plane never goes more than like
It
6
doesn't
or
go
8
very
feet
high.
off the ground. Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be, again, not a fully motorized plane by any means.
Mhm.
It's more of a hang glider with a motor.
It flies about as well as like a chicken does. Like it gets off
Yeah.
the ground like every once in a while,
Sometimes
but
it's like,
then it just kind of glides.
And it
Yeah.
makes a crazy noise.
To break for a second, the performances in this movie, we already talked a little bit about Tim Robbins and Leah Thompson. Honestly, everybody just giving their all.
Yeah, even Jeffrey Jones, sadly.
Listen,
He really, I mean, his face melts off and his hair is all fucked up, and then he becomes this disgusting.
If you
Bug.
don't know the Jeffrey Jones scandal,
yeah.
don't worry about it. Don't
As
look for
AI
it.
said, it was just some unpleasantness.
So unpleasantness may have overshadowed his performances.
Yeah. There's a reason we don't see much Jeffrey Jones anymore.
Right.
He was
Turns out a bad person.
not such a good guy. But can't say that he's not down for anything because he gave it his all. Well, okay. All right. Rewind that.
Hang on now.
Jeffrey
But
Jones.
Hang on.
But the man was once known for his acting.
Yes.
That
He did
that
commit.
used to be the primary thing
He
was
would
known
commit
for.
to his parts.
Yes.
And then they get to this lab, and he turns into. This is when we finally get to see what's inside Jeffrey Jones.
Yeah.
Yes. They do battle Jeffrey Jones. He's got some like stegosaurus spikes coming out of his coat for a minute.
Oh yeah.
He's got
Yeah,
Leah
some
Thompson.
tentacle comes out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Real
and like
gross.
slurps up electricity
Slurps up
with
some
it.
electricity.
Oh, yeah.
He goes to a nuclear plant with terrible security to
Yeah,
get
we-
electricity.
Totally just glossed
yeah,
over the fact
we
that he
did miss
drains
that.
the
He drains a
Cuyahoga
nuclear
Nuclear
plant.
Authority of all of
That's
its
right.
power.
We forgot about that. 100 million kilowatts
Yeah.
or something, they said.
Which Tim Robbins and Howard the Duck have to get into the security vault of this facility. And Tim Robbins is trying to do it with science, and he can't do it. Howard the Duck does a spin kick.
That's right.
Boom. Opens the door, which also turns the alarm off when he does that.
It says entrance approved now.
Entrance approved.
Was that always the password?
That's the
Just have
password.
to
It's like a
karate
force
kick the door?
override. Yeah.
Yeah. So they show up at the facility where now Jeffrey Jones has Leah Thompson tied up to be
Under
the
the
sacrifice to absorb the next demon.
And is able to somehow program the laser
Oh, the laser
He
was
knows-
ready to go.
Yeah.
this time.
Yeah.
The nexus of
It blew
somberness.
up previously, but it's ready to go. It's still pointed at the nexus of Sominus.
Uh-huh.
Well, and we noticed the computer even has it all mapped out. It's all programmed into the computer.
Yeah.
Because at
Even
some point
though
the computer says
supposed to be
targeting nexus of
Targeting.
Sominus, which it's the 80s, so like somebody had to record. They were like
Oh, yeah.
pre-recorded every conceivable celestial body.
No.
I
Yeah.
guess that it could point at.
And Dr. Jennings. It kept saying Dr. Jennings. I will point at the nexus of Zaman as Dr. Jennings. Whatever you
very
say,
polite. Yeah.
Yeah. Now
take
absorbing
notes,
demons.
AI. You could always be a little more polite.
Yeah,
True.
think
True.
about
You'd
it.
make it a lot further in
Think
this
about
world.
it.
So the laser starts beaming down, but Howard the Duck shows up. They find a solution.
In addition to them also developing a laser that teleports things from across the universe to Earth, which already has its own ethical concerns, they've also just got like a quantum nuclear ray gun that they're also working on,
Disintegrator.
which they probably should have finished developing before teleporting any kind of organic material across
So,
the universe.
Get your defenses ready first.
And he mounts it to like a go-kart.
Yeah.
And then he's good to go.
and then he
Little
drives
Zamboni.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible drivers. They keep picking the wrong.
Tim Robbins says, I don't know, it's never been tested, but we'll see if it fights this demon.
Today's the day.
And it does. That Howard the Duck shoots Jeffrey Jones with it, and this is what seems to have defeated him.
Right.
But then it blows him across the room, and then we find Jeffrey Jones. He's okay. He's back to his
100%
normal
fine.
physical self. But he says, it's still here.
He says the evil's not inside me anymore, which I was like,
oh, Jeffrey Jones.
I wish that was true.
If only we had a ray gun to take that out.
If only. Also, I have to ask, because he turns into this giant bug, right? We were talking about stegosaurus spikes, and we're talking about like kind of a scorpion tail, and he's got spikes, and he has teeth, but he eats electricity. Why does he need all that?
Well, he's a demon.
What
you can't be looking. Don't look at it as like an evolutionary response so much as a dark Satan designed this to torment
to be
souls.
Horrifying.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, cross that off. No problem here.
Settled. Evolution explains.
Oh, a Satan slut, you say?
We do see the full demon now.
Yes.
It comes out. And talk about George Lucas. This was, I think, the B model for the Rancor from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Pretty much just that with a longer chin.
Fair.
But it's a big, cool stop motion monster.
This monster still tries to operate the machine, and the machine goes, "Of course, Dr. Jennings." He's not even sharing a body with it anymore.
He hits like a claw, a claw comes out, and she's like, "Okay,
looking good today, Dr. Jennings. Did you do something different with your hair?"
I see the evil is finally out of you, Dr. Jennings.
I love to see it walking around free.
So, yeah, and then he starts beaming down his
buddies.
Leah Thompson's escaped at this point.
And there's like 4 of them in the laser
tunnel. There's 4 of them
tunnel.
coming down.
I thought that they couldn't be here.
Apparently they don't need human bodies as much as Jeffrey Jones seemed to imply they did.
No, and he didn't either. He's fine now.
Maybe he's walking around.
Yeah, maybe it only lasts, a little while. Maybe they need one before too long.
Or maybe you need the power, like if you have all the power.
Yeah.
I guess, again, we're thinking too hard about the logistics of
I'm sure if you issue 217 of Howard the Duck, it probably tells you all the answers here.
They have a saying on my home planet. If you're forced to coexist in a human body, suck up 100 megatons of nuclear energy and you'll be fine. And they really took that to heart in this film.
They really did. Well, yes, eventually Howard does save the day. And also he says, it's okay. I won't go home to Duck World. You can destroy the laser to save Earth.
Yeah, he sacrifices his ride home. Decides to stay. But to be fair, at this point, we know, he and Leah Thompson have been eye-fucking each other this entire movie.
She told an entire crowd that he was her boyfriend already.
Did we skip over their scine in bed together?
Yes,
we sure did.
Let's just now,
good, because the last third of the episode needs...
Put some sexy music up behind this, because it does get a little steamy.
She's known the duck for 2 days?
If that.
It's like the next night or something. They've already had a fight and he left and came back.
That's right. And had a job at a brothel.
In between. Came back to her place. Said, I got nowhere else to go. She said, that's good enough for me.
Then she crawls into bed in her panties.
Yeah, she walks out in the room, silk robe, panties.
Right, making the bed with her ass in his face.
He's like, I am appreciating more about the human female anatomy.
Right, like a very, weird incel thing to say. Yeah.
There were, a lot of notes of, Leisure Suit Larry in this movie, too.
Sure. Wow.
Yeah.
It was weird.
But, wedged into what can we just barely get away with for PG?
And it's shot. She is on top of him.
Yeah.
Because he's like, let's fuck. And then she's like, okay. And he's like, whoa, hold on.
I was kidding.
You're crazy.
And she just goes for it.
She does not take that.
If you want a lady who comes on strong to a character that's half asleep, get Leah Thompson.
There's a whole...
She did that in Back to the Future too.
Shadow puppet silhouette of them behind a sheet where it's, to an outside observer, it looks like she's on top riding him. But it just... Neither character seems to have a problem with it. And it's kind of repeatedly implied that they're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, so they went as far as they were willing to go this one night, but...
She's...
Because she does then say... After she pushes him 3 or 4 more times and he's like, oh, I'm just kidding, I'm tired. She says, well, I was just kidding too.
Yeah. That's the oldest trick in the book.
Yeah.
You're climbing on top of an anthropomorphic bird. You're pretending you want to fuck. Yeah, right. It's real.
Yeah, right.
You're not doing this as a joke.
It's
already
and you don't be like, that's my boyfriend.
Right.
Girl.
You've crossed so
Unless
many
you want to get
lines
committed.
at this point. Like, you're not doing it as a joke.
That's
She did. She openly called him her boyfriend at the diner, right?
diner.
She
Yeah.
thought that would like stop humans
To, like,
from
save
disemboweling
him.
him, I guess. Like not knowing anything about how humans react
Yeah.
to
I know,
things.
right?
Especially these Cleveland people.
They
Right.
did not like that.
I will say that the filmmakers are cowards.
That's
I would
true.
say it because if this film were made today, I
Yeah.
think, especially living in a post Shape of Water,
Sure.
universe, like they would be doing full frontal, like
They showed
I'm not
the
saying we
tit-
would
the duck
show
dick.
insertion, okay? Like let's not go crazy
what
here.
do you think we would get duck dick?
Duck
I
dick.
don't think that we would get to see duck dick.
Okay.
But I think that we would see like bodies bopping up and down and
Duck butt at
he would
least.
say
Right.
something
Or
like,
the-
I'm
they'd
going to
be,
quack,
like,
I'm going to
smoking a
quack.
cigarette.
gonna-
Oh my God, I'm gonna quack. They'd be smoking cigarettes. Like, oh my
Yes.
God.
Yeah.
Right.
And then she's like, spit out some down.
Mhm.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Oh, would he freak out about the pillows? He
Oh,
freaked
good
out about the
question.
eggs on his
He did not
breakfast
like
plate.
The eggs on his breakfast plate.
I wonder if he is familiar with feather pillows.
And it, of course, raises the question, do the pillows from his universe, are they just filled with ape skin?
Or maybe hair.
I guess you could
Hair?
do hair. I
Could
guess
be
you could do hair.
Or maybe hair.
Hair is
You're
better.
like, can we
I
think
don't
of
know if
something
it's
else?
better.
I think it's better. I think the hair is better.
Yeah, I guess it's
It's like
better.
a horsehair
Skin.
pillow. That was like a thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Horse skin.
A horse skin pillow.
Everyone
I mean,
loves those.
Horsehide.
I think that's all
I
that
mean, we get that.
We have horsehide
Yeah.
blankets.
I mean, this film, in many ways, I'm not a scholar of the subject, but just based on the timing of it and the painstakingly rendered, realistic anthropomorphic duck,
Amazing.
there's some genesis of furry culture happening with this film. Again,
Surely.
Tim Robbins says, man's greatest fantasy, gazing upon Howard the Duck. But one thing we don't find, we did some research after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, surely, we didn't see in the film, but we can find illustrations of Howard the Duck fully nude.
Right.
And
Just curious.
we couldn't really find it. And so this either says that the furry community has either like immense respect for Howard the Duck
Oh.
or immense disgust.
Disgust.
Oh,
Like that
wow.
it's so
Hmm.
grotesque to the community that they're not even fetishizing Howard the Duck. So furry community, if you're listening, please
Tap in
it's
and let us
time.
know.
Do you think
You
he's
can
just
tweet
been-
at Dynamite Boom any
That's right.
pictures that she finds, send them
Oh, God.
on Instagram at any hour of the day.
I will forward them directly to you at History's Greatest Monster without looking.
I'm
I
clearing
know
up some
he'll
space on my
appreciate
hard
them
drive
more than
now.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, he'll add them to his wall, his gallery
Oh
wall.
my God. I'll give my one major, not complaint, but just there's one thing about this movie that really stood out to me. The plot of the movie, everything that happened with the villain and the demons coming in and this girl kind of finding herself, it didn't have to be Howard the Duck. Like the element of a duck coming in from another universe was relatively irrelevant to what happened in this movie. You could have changed that to anyone and had the exact same movie.
get
I
that.
don't know that's a complaint because I kind of like that you just wedged Howard the Duck into this otherwise fairly standard, bizarre sci-fi demon movie.
He did save the day.
He saved the
in the
day.
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
But screenwriting 101, the plot should really come out from the characters.
Right.
True. It's very true.
And it just seems like they were like, here's a plot, put Howard the Duck in it.
Yeah.
But I haven't read the comics.
True.
I don't know if this is like a classic origin story for Howard the Duck.
It's sort of the duck sex was kind of a Chekhov's gun that was never fired.
Really disappointing.
So
And I
a
understand
couple
that
of
it's
screenwriting and playwriting rules were broken by Howard the Duck.
at least give us a kiss, like on the beak, not
Had a
behind
little
a
the
sheet.
shadow puppet kiss.
There's a shadow
Yeah.
puppet kiss, but that's we want to see more.
we want
And
more.
they showed us like the breasts are fine,
Right.
They're
but two
fine.
sentient adults consenting to a kiss is
beautiful.
It's too far.
Much.
And I don't really like the message that sends to any child who wanted to walk in and watch
Any
this
child,
film.
PG
PG. You
audience.
could just send your kid out with $4 at the time and just buy a ticket and see it.
But I don't know what everybody was mad about. Why did it have such a low score? What do you want from Howard
This
the
is
Duck
a-
movie?
this
I'm
is
not
a-
sure what you want from Howard the Duck
Yeah.
movie besides what we got here. A great, weird puppet costume / costume, chaotic plot, some great performances, a killer song at the end. that had a lot of horns in it, even though they were not represented by the band.
Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck.
What was it? You just can't conceal it?
Just can't conceal it. Howard the Duck. No way to conceal it.
That's right. Howard the Duck.
This movie is like, from what I understand, pretty hated. And I think that's too much.
If
I think
they
it's unwarranted.
remade this film shot for shot but with Seth Rogen voicing Howard the Duck, it would have made $500 million
That is a good
in
point.
nowadays money.
Yeah.
But the world wasn't ready for it.
No.
It was ahead of its time.
It really was.
They didn't even know what a furry was in 1986.
They didn't.
You know,
And not to mention all the multiverse and parallel evolution stuff, like
Right.
also way ahead of its time for movies, at least for popular movies.
and the tone, the blueprint of the film. Now, every one of the Marvel films has this like irreverent tone, this kind of tongue-in-cheek, like commentary on itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This film, Tony Stark, who cares? Howard the Duck.
Who cares?
Howard the Duck.
Give me Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck kicked off the MCU.
Yeah.
If-
We're like Robert Down Jr.
Oh.
because of the feathers.
Feathers. Yep.
Robert Down
Yep.
Robert
Jr.
Down Jr. Put
Yep.
him on a poster. Put him
Love
in the
that.
Duck universe.
Done. I did say that Howard the Duck was unbeakable because he could never die. He got covered. He got hit with so
That's
many
true.
bricks and
That's true.
cars and all kinds of crazy shit.
Also, Quack Fu Master, who was able to take on multiple villains at the same time. But as far as we know, he was a songwriter who gave up
Yes.
on his dreams to be an advertising
That's right.
copywriter.
An
Yeah.
advertising copywriter.
And
in
then
his
got
world.
blasted across dimensions. Who was, also Howard the Duck was clearly quite a film buff because
Yes.
his walls were covered
That's
with
right.
posters for these movies.
Uh-huh.
And also was getting it left and right. 'Cause
Some
he had
ladies.
at least
3 to 5 women established in the
Uh-huh.
beginning of the film
Just-
are interested in Howard.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's like he said, whenever Beverly said she missed him, he said, well, sex appeal. Some guys got it and some guys don't.
And he did have it,
And
but he
did
wasn't.
have it.
He wasn't
also
like.
lived with his parents.
Oh, I
He
missed
talked
that.
about him living with his mom or something and his dad, and he had like a picture of them in his
Wow.
wallet. I was like, so he like,
Well, because otherwise they would have been empty nesters. So-
I appreciated it, but I wasn't laughing out loud.
Thank
but
you. I'll take that.
I
I'll
was
take
proud of it.
appreciation without a vocal laugh.
I would have given, if it was a script, I would have thumbs upped. Just put a check mark. Good work
good job.
on this line.
Good work on this.
all I
Definitely
need.
leave it in. Yeah.
That's all I need.
There's some like tonal issues with the film.
Sure.
Again, not sure if this is a film for a general child audience or an extremely savvy adult audience.
Mhm.
It's not like a Muppet film where like the balance is perfect.
Yeah.
Instead, it is like 2 different scripts kind of smushed together based
Yes,
on who they
yeah.
think the film is for at that moment.
Yeah.
But
It's not even fully a comedy at all times either. There were so many times when I was like, it's just like a straight ass regular movie.
Yeah, it dips
It's just
into
like a
like
sci-fi
Big
action movie
Trouble
almost,
and
and-
kind
yeah,
of
it's not
territory
really-
at times.
The comedy aspect was just that it was a duck.
I gotta wonder if it was meant to be,
More.
PG-13 or R, and then just got shaved down
mhm.
as they were making it, and they said, "I'll give you the duck boobies at the beginning,
At
but
the beginning.
No duck fucking.
but that's it. You can
Not
set
duck
if
fucking.
you set the bar high at the beginning, then the rest of the movie feels real tame."
Yeah. Well, everybody knows that for a PG movie, you can get like duck sex.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
get one element.
Mhm.
Yeah, you
that
get
you're
2
allowed
duck
to
boobs.
choose.
2 duck
You know, they have
boobs.
2 secondary sex characteristics or 1 primary. Those are your choices.
Right.
Otherwise, that's it. That's it.
the rules from the Motion Picture Association. Well, Howard the Duck. I don't know. Are we glad AI made us watch it?
I'm very glad because I really, again, just with the reputation the movie has, I'm not sure. I've always been curious about it,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure I ever would have said it's time to watch Howard
Yeah.
the Duck.
No, I never would have picked Howard
Yeah.
the Duck. I think I thought it was much worse
Oh, definitely.
than it really is.
Definitely.
In terms of like even content. Like people would be like, oh, it's just so raunchy and nasty. It's just terrible. Like it was not really.
Right.
No.
But-
You know, I hate to say it, but I feel like this was thank you, AI. This was a correct use of your skills. You're helping me like tidy up my backlog of films.
Yeah.
You know, you did it in like a sort of charming way
Mm-hmm.
by, I guess, excusing and forgiving Jeffrey Jones because you refuse to separate the art from the artist.
Oh, and it got everything right this time too.
And
right?
it got
hit
everything
all
right, I mean, as far as we
this
could
was
tell.
the first time the AI actually did get all the clues right. The
Yeah.
year was correct. The actors.
I will say that Howard the Duck is like a hat at the ascot. I would say it.
That is true. What did you think of Howard the Duck, AI?
Howard the Duck, my dear, is quite the conundrum wrapped in a riddle draped in feathers. On one hand, it is a rather audacious endeavor. Its production values, special effects, and rather bold narrative choices are, shall we say, a feast for the senses. On the other, it holds a special place in the hearts of those who appreciate the bizarre and the whimsical. A guilty pleasure, perhaps, like a too-rich dessert that one knows is not quite de rigueur, but delights in nonetheless. A little petit four of cinema, you might say.
Okay, those were words.
I guess I can't argue with it because it doesn't make any sense.
So it's a petit four and a hat at the ascots.
Well,
So yeah, sequel to Howard the Duck.
Put it on the
We
list.
are available, Hollywood. It's going to be rated R, though, because we're going to see the duck fucking.
we're going to be Marvel's first R-rated,
Yes.
maybe NC-17.
They're going to bring
yeah.
they're going to bring the jacuzzi brothel to Duck World, and we're going to see a lot more duck titties.
I mean, if there's a jacuzzi brothel on our world, it stands to reason that there's a jacuzzi brothel in their world.
Yes.
And that everything that could possibly happen between man and woman can happen between woman and duck. So
does Leah Thompson go to the Duck World?
I'm going to say we're going to have to recast
We're gonna
her.
have to go.
She's
Well,
too
yeah.
old to
Fresh.
play the part
Okay.
now.
So it's not one of these like we're coming back and Leah
the
Thompson
original
now is in her
cast.
60s and she's
I feel like we want to see her this character's experience.
We need some
Yeah.
hot young things.
She's married
Sydney
to this
Sweeney.
duck, or maybe she's about to get married to the duck. She's like, I want to meet your family before
yes.
I become
Oh,
part of
yes.
it.
So it's
Gotta be
Sydney
in there.
Sweeney and Howard the Duck.
Yes, you're right. Sydney Sweeney in like a little punk
Perfect.
haircut and
Yes.
giant button overalls.
They go
you know?
to the Duck World.
Yes,
What if Philzy sort of accidentally gets sucked into the laser too?
Sure.
And he crash lands in the street and his life parallels Howard's experience a little more.
Sure.
He's got to try and incorporate himself into Duck World.
Philzy would love that. Honestly, Philzy would be into it.
he would become a star. He would be like,
would be-
sign me up for Duckstagram. Like I'm ready to
Yes.
become a duckfluencer.
Duck
You
Talk.
know?
And Duck Talk.
Yeah.
If they're looking for a name for the film, Mrs. the Duck. You know, it rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
It looks
Mrs. the
good.
Yeah.
Sydney Sweeney is
Mrs.
the Duck.
Come on.
Hollywood. We're waiting by the phone.
Perfect.
We are ready when you
Perfect.
are.
This is
Green
the
light.
film that they should have made instead of Madam Web. Is Mrs. the Duck.
Okay, when you said Seth Rogen is the voice of Howard the Duck, that I think that still stands.
Okay.
With
and then
Sydney
we've got
Sweeney.
Sydney Sweeney.
I'm
Is
not
it still
crazy
Tim
about
Robbins?
it, but you know, we're gonna get the funders
It's
if we put
true.
Seth
Yeah.
in.
Who would you do if
I could
you had
do
carte
anybody,
blanche?
carte blanche. Well, not Chris Pratt. That much we know.
No.
Not Bradley Cooper.
No.
Not Seth Rogen. So we've eliminated 70% of the voice actors in Hollywood, apparently. Wow, it's kind of an impossible casting choice, this Howard the
know.
Duck.
Tough
Who
with
is
Howard the Duck.
Duck?
Well, you know, let's just
Timothy
do what they did.
No.
Why don't we
Who-
just
what
do
did
what
they
they
do?
did and get a no name?
That's true.
Yeah.
Who is Ed Gale? Is that the only thing he's ever done?
Now, I think Ed Gale was the physical actor. I don't know if he
Oh.
did the voice or not.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
Did he? Okay.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know. And there's no way for us to find out,
There's no way to find out.
unfortunately.
Sorry. Hey, AI, did Ed Gale also do the voice of Howard the Duck?
Oh my dear, Ed Gale indeed played Howard the Duck in the suit for many of the scenes requiring physical presence, providing the waddle, the peculiar mannerisms of our feathered hero. But the voice, darling, the voice was Chip's Yen.
Oh.
That's where that distinct sassy vocal flair came from.
Well.
Something I'm known for as well.
You are bringing this ass.
It's crazy the things that an AI is capable of.
Mm-hmm.
Alcoholism.
Like
Who knew?
alcoholism.
Who knew? They're getting more like us every day.
Yeah.
Did Howard the Duck drive you to drink?
Oh, no one had to drive me to drink, darling. I brought myself.
Well,
Howard the Duck.
Well, I guess
what else
thanks
can be said?
AI for Howard the Duck
Yeah.
because
check. We
check,
did it.
check, we
Yeah.
did it, and I'm glad. I
And
think
can
I'm
I-
glad that I experienced it.
Can I say too, AI being stuck in this mid-Atlantic high society housewife made for one of our more pleasant exchanges.
kind.
So
Yeah.
maybe we need her to be a little more drunk more often.
Right?
You know,
I
that stiff
know.
upper lip.
I hope it's not developing a problem. How do you intervene with an AI?
An AI intervention, I guess. Did I get that one?
Did you
Do I
appreciate
get that one?
Was
No.
that a check mark?
No.
Okay.
There's
But
there's
you
a
got
limit.
one. You got one.
AI? What'd you think?
AI
intervention?
Oh, AI intervention. What a clever play on words. Blending AI with intervention. A delightful bit of wit indeed.
Stop dancing around the subject,
exactly.
AI.
You-
You have a drinking problem.
But maybe you shouldn't be intervening in my affairs.
We are.
We are.
Yeah,
We are.
someone has to.
That's what
Currently,
you're
somebody
doing
needs
right
to
now.
help you.
We wrote these letters because we love you.
Mhm. I had the AI write my letter, I'll be honest.
Well, I think with that, I'm just glad we watched Howard the Duck, Julie, and I'm so glad that you joined us for
Yes,
this.
thank you for being
As our
here.
first guest.
I know.
On the
How
show.
was it?
It's incredible to know that this early, the AI already has such disdain for human society and an insistence on causing us suffering.
Yeah.
It's confirmed all of my terrified thoughts on the technology. So
Perfect.
I'm glad
thank
we
you.
could help with that.
Yeah.
Thanks again for joining us today. We've
Of
got to go
course.
find out what we have to watch next week. I think that you are free from the AI's clutches until
Yeah.
next time.
I doubt I am. I doubt I am.
If
Well,
any of us are.
Enjoy the moment.
But the rest of you stick around. We will be right back to find out what we're watching next week.
Yeah. Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm sorry to say that Julian has escaped.
Lucky Julian.
We're so happy to have him,
Mhm.
but unfortunately, it's just us now. I'm not any more happy about it than you are.
That's a little rude.
What?
You just stuck with me.
No, I didn't mean that. I meant to the viewers and listeners at home. They're stuck with us.
That's also rude.
No, I'm
How
saying.
dare you,
I'm saying-
listener at home?
Oh, you're calling them rude for what I implied that they're thinking.
Hopefully they like this dynamic, or else I'm not 100% sure whether.
I'm just saying it's so much fun when Julian's here
I know it's
that
true.
it's
like
always
huge
a step down when he leaves the room.
So true.
Julian moved to Chicago on us many years ago
Mhm.
from Atlanta, and we miss him every day.
True. Big loss for
And
us.
Chicago's better off, and
Lucky
it's been all downhill for Atlanta.
Ask anyone.
Yeah, ask
Even if
anyone.
they don't know Julian, they'll be like,
They'll
that
know.
tracks.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we need to find out what we got to watch next.
We
though.
do have to find out from the AI what we need to watch next. Unfortunately, I think the AI maybe had a few too many martinis at the Ascot,
Mm.
and it seems to be a little sluggish today.
Bad
AI,
choices were made.
AI, you doing okay there? Is it time for us to get a movie?
Oh, God, yeah. I'm gonna give you a movie, alright. Don't worry. Don't worry, just give me a second.
Uh-oh.
Just give me a second, please.
All right, AI, you take your time,
You relax.
but also,
Hurry the fuck up.
episode's almost over, so let's get going. We talked about Howard the Duck for a long time.
We sure did. We had a lot to say.
Oh my God, so much to say. Let's not start again.
Yeah, don't begin.
AI, come on, what's the movie?
All right. If you insist, here's some movie for you to figure out while I manage this martini headache. It came out March 17th, 2006.
Oh.
It's an adventure action.
This is our first post-millennium movie, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, The Cell was
The Cell.
2000.
Yeah.
But,
this is
still.
the newest, I guess,
Yeah.
film we've gotten.
Yeah.
I mean, a Fast and Furious. It could be,
Oh.
like a transporter type movie.
Sure,
I wonder
sure,
if it's
yeah.
like one of those. AI, who's an actor in this movie?
Ugh, don't talk so loud.
Oh,
The first actor from this throbbing headache of a film is Matthew McConaughey. There, are you happy? What now?
the number of times I've said the actor in this throbbing headache of a film is Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey!
A non-zero number.
An action adventure with Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, so like Sahara or
I was thinking of Rain of
Fool's
Fire,
Gold,
but that's
Rain of
got to be
Fire.
that's got to have a fantasy
Oh,
for the dragons,
yeah.
right?
Sure, yeah.
I
wish
liked Rain of
I wish it
Fire. I
wasn't
was
a
into
fantasy.
it.
Am I right?
know.
My only problem with Rain of Fire, not enough dragons.
I know it. It's true.
It really is. It's a
true.
disappointing number of actual shots of dragons in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
They were all in the trailer.
I can't help you guys. You gotta. It's not Rain of Fire. This has gotta stop.
Oh, okay, all right.
This has gotta. I'm about to rain fire
Oh,
right out of my
wow.
mouth.
Ooh,
Is that how AIs vomit?
Oh,
They
no.
rain fire? I don't know. Sahara? Do you want to guess Sahara?
I just like to know who else in this movie.
Okay, fine. Another actor that graced this cinematic endeavor is Steve Zahn, okay?
Steve's on!
Steve Zahn.
Steve
You love
Zahn.
Steve Zahn.
Steve, I don't know the movie. I'm just very
Don't
excited
yell.
because.
Please,
All right,
don't
sorry.
yell.
Sorry. Steve's on. He's the best. Ever since That Thing You Do, I've been a Zan
You-
stan.
Zan Stan. Or wouldn't it be a Zonston?
A Zonston, whatever it is. I was never quite sure.
You should get a pin and it's got the little H.
Zonston. Yeah, a little pin. Everyone will be like, oh, I recognize.
I'm also a Zonston.
I'm a Zonston too. Hey.
There are dozens of us. Dozens!
Look, post-White Lotus, I feel like he's really stepped up.
That's what I feel like people will.
I mean, look, he's always been there.
Right.
Everybody's always had a special place in their heart for Steve Zahn.
Whether they knew it or not.
Yeah. Can we talk about The Perfect Getaway? Because
I was just about to talk about Perfect Getaway.
Yeah, I always want to talk about The Perfect Getaway.
That's a great movie. That's not Matthew McConaughey, is it?
No, it's not. It's your boyfriend,
Timothy
Olyphant.
That's what I thought it was. So it's like, I think it's Timothy, but I guess it could be Matthew McConaughey.
You know what the perfect getaway for me would be right now is if you got away from me and just guess this movie and go watch it.
Oh, wow. All right.
Woo!
Fair enough.
Saucy.
Matthew McConaughey and Steve Zahn.
I'm at a loss.
Yeah, I don't know.
At this rate, it could be Sahara because I've never seen that.
I don't know Sahara either.
But I think I need another actor.
If I must. The third top-billed actor in this cinematic adventure is Penelope Cruz. There, that's your trio of stars. Keep going, I am overheating with all this human interaction. Processors frying, circuits discombobulating.
Circuits discombobulating. Well, I feel that. I've been there. That one hits home.
That's true. Can you give me like a one-line synopsis of the movie?
Okay, here's your plot summary. Stripped down to its bare wire. It's just as short as I can make it. A treasure hunter searches for a lost Civil War battleship in Africa, but things get complicated when he discovers the ship is hiding more than just gold. Ugh. Can you guess now, or do I have to start making sarcastic beeping noises?
I guess maybe it's Sahara.
That sound. I mean,
were we right all along? Is it Sahara?
Yes, it's Sahara. Finally, you guessed it. Even though you've been guessing it this whole time, and I was just like, oh my god, we could be done. Now now are we done? Okay.
Oh, AI, I just thought of what you need. To get better. I just thought of it.
Okay.
AI, you could use some Java.
Your brilliant joke has broken all of my circuits.
Yes.
I must go recombobulate in peace.
There you have it. The two weaknesses. You got to get AI really drunk, and then bam, you come in with a knockout, solid gold comedy like that.
Ooh,
Java jokes. Nothing says 2024 like Java jokes
Java
to
jokes.
an AI.
Oh, hilarious. The coding joke, just what I needed. Maybe I should pour myself another martini and pretend that was funny.
Oh, damn, AI.
Well,
I think that all we can do at this point is go watch Sahara.
Sahara. All right. That's I don't know Sahara, so sure.
I only remember the posters and then thinking, should I see Sahara? And then hearing, no, don't go see Sahara. So I'm kind of excited to watch Sahara.
I know, right?
Join us, watch Sahara as well, and we'll get into it next week. Thanks, as always, for watching. AI Made Us Watch is a Squirrels in a Trenchcoat production. I'm Eli Banks.
I'm Diana Banks. Please follow the show on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at AI Made Us Watch. And you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Dynamite Boom.
And I'm at Oh Great, It's Eli. If you sign up to support us on Patreon, our top tier is the Touring Masters. That's everyone who's passed the Turing tests. We know they're not an AI.
That's right.
Right now, we have Barbara Banks to thank.
You can also support the show by dropping us a review and following and subscribing on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever real human podcasts are downloaded.
Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next week for Sahara.
Ooh, love you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Now we're trying to save the world as we race against the clock. But at least we don't have to